Well, what's remarkable to me is, after the last couple of elections where Republicans were where Democrats are now, sort of out in the wilderness figuring out what went wrong, so many different things came down to one singular thing. You are not reaching out to, and in fact, being outright hostile to members of the Latino community. And if you don't change that, you're never going to win again because of the demographics. And yet, we saw, not probably, the most hostile candidate that we've ever seen towards the Latino community. And that guy's president now.
Right.
So what's the message there? What's our takeaway? Where do we go from there?
Well, I think there's two things happening here. The Latino community is growing at such a fast pace, but we're nowhere near where we need to be in terms of building political power. We've got to work on continuing to increase the turnout and then electing folks that reflect these progressive Latino values up and down the ticket, right? The reason why, even though you had this huge number of Latinos turn out to vote and you still have a Donald Trump, is while we're growing fast, we're still not enough to carry a bunch of other folks with us. So we need our progressive allies around the country, including in Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania and everywhere, to join in this work. And it's also true that if you look at where Latinos are located, we are a significant amount of the population in certain battleground states, but we're mostly in places like California and Texas that are not battlegrounds yet. And we're getting to the point now where Arizona is becoming closer to a battleground. I think next time around it will be truly a battleground state, and it was close this time. It was 3.5 points away, which is closer than a competitive state like North Carolina, where billions were spent, versus Arizona, which was largely ignored. And look how close they came, again, because of the Latino vote.
And it's the Latino Victory Fund, latinovictory.us, right?
Yes, thank you.
latinovictory.us. So what is the focus now? What is your focus now? Is it particularly races, or is it still getting people to register to vote, or what?
So, great question. Coming out of the election, I think a lot of us, and I'll talk about myself here for a minute, was in shock. I did not see that coming.
We all were,
and
right.
After a couple of days of a little depression and a lot of drinking, we had to get back to work with the terrible things that this man was saying he was going to do. And now that we're seeing those quote-unquote values of his become policy, it's a scary time for us. And like I said earlier, we're in the crosshairs. So what we're trying to figure out with our progressive allies and others is, how do we wear strategic pushback on him? Because I worry a lot of times that we're chasing around like a cat a laser light, and the laser light is his tweet, and it's distracting, and it's not strategic, and we have to pick our battles. And so what we're doing is pulling together a major summit tomorrow here in Washington. We're bringing Latino leaders from around the country, and we've invited Keith Ellison to speak, and I hope he will be there. I think he will join Tom Bettis at this summit to talk to us as a community about what we need to do together to push back where strategic, but perhaps just as importantly, and very importantly to the mission of our organization, is to recruit and elect young progressive Latino leaders around the country that are going to be the bulwark of defense against Trump and his policies. And then eventually, when we're back on top, these are the champions for the issues and values that we care so much about.
And those candidates at every level, state legislature,
from school board to Senate.
Yeah. Good. That's a good way to put it, right? Yeah, and president one day, why not?
I would love that. One of these days.